Welcome to the Texas Agricultural Law YouTube channel. I'm Tiffany Lashman, and today I am joined by Brigit Rollins, who is a staff attorney at the National Agricultural Law Center. Brigit is an expert in environmental law, and she has joined me on our Ag Law in the Field podcast to give us an environmental law update. Brigit, there's lots going on.
Oh my goodness, and how. Hi, Tiffany. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a joy to guest on this podcast. Yes, there has been a lot going on in the environmental law world over the last year, 2 years that I expect will continue into this year and continue to have real world impacts on agriculture and agricultural producers. Everything from pesticide regulation to water.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was interesting. I thought when we looked at our list of topics that we were going to discuss, and we have some things as recent as like last week, we had developments on the dicamba front. Give us a rundown of what's going on there.
Goodness. So last week we saw a federal court in Arizona vacate the over-the-top registration of dicamba. So when we say over the top there, we're meaning application directly onto crops. The court overturned the 2020 registration of dicamba for use directly onto crops. So that is going to be a huge impact as we go into this growing season. Farmers, some folks have already purchased their dicamba products, intending to apply them directly onto their crops. Some folks maybe haven't purchased their dicamba products yet, but have purchased dicamba-resistant seeds that they've intended to use with these products. And with planting starting as early as later this month in some states, we're really going to see an impact pretty much immediately. And as of right now, we still don't know from EPA whether they're going to allow use during this particular growing season of existing stocks, those pesticides that have already been purchased. We also don't know whether or not they're going to appeal the decision, although I would expect that they would, but they're going to be appealing it into the Ninth Circuit, which, as we know, can present a little bit of a challenge, specifically since the Ninth Circuit has overturned past over-the-top registrations of dicamba. So lots of questions, not a lot of answers right now.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so on the kind of far end of the spectrum, like I say, that one was making news, right this week. We have WOTUS on our list of topics. And this has been on our list of things to discuss for like the past 10 years. What is the definition of WOTUS? So, Brigit, where are we on that?
That is such a great question. Yeah, the past 10 years, and who knows, this could be our hot topic for the next 10 years. So right now we're in a place kind of similar to where we were in 2015, where we have essentially two different WOTUS definitions being applied to roughly half of the country. Half of the country is currently sort of using the WOTUS definition that EPA issued last year that was then modified by the Sackett ruling in May. And we have the other half of the country applying essentially the pre-2015 WOTUS definition, but also modified by the Sackett decision that came out last year. And if you're wondering, what's my state doing? What definition are we applying? All you need to do is look to see, is your state a party to any of the three lawsuits challenging the current WOTUS definition? If your state is party to one of those lawsuits, you are applying the pre-2015 definition. If you're not party to those lawsuits, then you're applying the 2023 WOTUS definition. And
right. And so here's another situation, right, where we have probably more questions than answers, because we have this situation where I have part of the states are applying it, part aren't. We've got all these pending lawsuits. There's questions about how those will be resolved from an administrative procedure standpoint and a content standpoint.
Absolutely.
And even if everything was resolved today, Brigit, we still have questions about things like, what is a relatively permanent body of water?
So, absolutely.
Gonna still be an issue.
Not going away. And goodness, I know that some folks had a lot of hope that maybe the Sackett decision would give us that sturdy, lasting definition. And at least right now, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Got it. Okay. Well, Brigit, if folks are interested, they can go. We'll put a link in the show notes below. Check out our podcast episode. We talked about this and a host of other topics for about an hour. And also in the show notes for that podcast episode, we have links to all of your information, as well as articles and papers and things you've written on these topics. We really appreciate you being here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.